What's up, everyone? I'm Sean, and welcome to the Education Revolution, a daily look at life, truth, and practical things that our educational system has really just failed to teach us and is still failing to teach us today. So thank you so much for joining me right here on my very first video blog. Hey everyone, I'm Sean Michael Fable, and since this is my first video blog, I guess I should start with who I am and why I'm starting a video blog. Some of you may know me from Akil and the Bee, To Save a Life, Hard Flip. Great movies, fun movies. Maybe when I was a little younger, you may have seen me in some Disney, Nickelodeon things. So why am I starting a video blog? Well, acting is just one small aspect of my life. There's a lot more to me than just what's on the screen. Behind the scenes, who I am, how I live my life, what I think, what I believe. There's a side of me that many, if not most people, have never seen. I've been an adult now for 10 years. I know, I'm getting old. And so are you. But I've realized that that's not such a bad thing, because with old age comes wisdom, hopefully. And that's a great thing. Wisdom is defined as having the quality of knowledge, experience, and good judgment. The quality of being wise. Now, I'm not saying that I know everything, or even half of everything, or even half of everything, or even half of everything. In fact, in Shakespeare's play, Hamlet said to Horatio that there are more things in heaven and earth than are dreamt of in your philosophies. There is always, always, always more to learn. And that's awesome. We live in a vast universe that we can learn and grow and discover new things. So I don't consider myself someone who has all the knowledge in the world. Not at all. I consider myself, in some regards, a beggar who has happened to stumble onto some really good food and wants to share that food for thought. So my thought is that we should never stop learning or growing, especially since our education system has failed most of us. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some very good teachers and there are some very good schools out there. I hated traditional schooling growing up because I love learning about important and practical and relevant things in life that's useful, but I wasn't learning any important or practical relevant things in school. So it's not that I hated learning, it's that I loved learning, but I wasn't learning anything important. Now, I'm not being closed-minded, like, okay, you can show me what this is for, but if I don't have an interest in it, if this is not something that everyone can use every single day, then why am I spending months and hours and tons of time on something that I'm not going to spend months and hours and tons of time in my daily, everyday life as an adult? Isn't that what education is for? To prepare you for life, to prepare you for adulthood? So what practical life skills did I learn in school? Okay, some basic math, some basic English. But that's about it. Beyond that, I don't think I was really taught anything all that useful. I wasn't even taught how to learn. That the first step of education and the first step of learning is seeking the truth. And that's one thing I want to share with you today. We should always be seeking the truth, no matter how tough the truth can be to face. Now, that may seem very simple, but it's incredibly important and practical in a world filled with different ideologies and political ideas and opinions to be able to weed out what is right and what is just not right, what is real and what is fake, to live in reality, to see things as they really are. The only reason to believe anything is because it's true. But what is truth? Truth is living in reality, calling it as it is. 1 + 1, it's always 2. Even if it makes you feel blue, it's still true. Truth is not based on feelings. It's based on fact. Now, looking back on the past 10 years, I'm a totally different person now. And a big part of that growth has come from seeking truth. Seeking the truth at any cost. Even to my pride, even to my belief system, even to my political views, or my comfort zone. Seeking the truth is the most important part of learning. Truth has to trump it all. It's the first step to learning, to education, and to personal growth. Seeking truth is setting aside your own personal view and then taking an honest look at someone else's view and comparing them to the facts. Although this seems so simple and common sense, it can actually be extremely difficult to do because what psychologists call cognitive, although this seems so simple and so basic and common sense, it can actually be extremely difficult to do because what psychologists call cognitive dissonance. It's the discomfort that we feel when we are challenged with something that is totally different from our presuppositions, from our point of view, from our preconceived ideas, something that challenges our way of thinking. And it can hinder our ability to see the truth, to learn the truth, because it becomes like a wall that doesn't allow us to think beyond what we already think and believe and our own perspective. So it becomes like a locked gate or locked door that doesn't allow truth to really enter in, doesn't allow us to look objectively at reality. And again, it's so important because truth has to trump everything, has to trump all of our personal belief systems. We have to seek truth, because the only reason to believe anything is because it's true. This is why seeking truth is the most important step to education, because it forces you to actually be humble. It forces that pride to be removed from your ego. It allows you to drop that ego and say, okay, I want to know what is the truth. I want to seek the truth. I want to know what is real. It requires one to be humble, to really ask questions, and to really be objective and unbiased in a situation where we have these conflicting ideas or something that challenges what we personally believe. And it's the opposite of fear, because it takes courage to actually be open, to actually listen, to actually possibly be wrong, to have to admit that maybe this was right and maybe my point of view was not exactly in the truth. And that's actually important, because that brings humility into our lives. And humility actually takes courage. It actually takes courage, and it makes you a stronger person, because you are not defined necessarily even by your own beliefs. You are actually, facing the fear of that possibility of even being maybe wrong. That's a very hard thing for us to say about us, is that maybe we're wrong. And that's a very important thing to combat our Western narcissism, in a sense, to combat our own egos. Nobody likes somebody who's just so arrogant about what they believe. And I personally have fallen into that, where it's like, well, my point of views are right, and I don't want to see what the other person does. And I don't like to be that person personally. When I find myself tending to be that, I look back on that situation and I go, you know what? I don't even like me in that situation. I appreciate the person. If I can appreciate the person who's actually willing to hear my point of view, and we can have this dialogue, well, that's so much better than me just trying to jam truth and ideas down someone else's throat. So this is something that I have to strive for even in my own life. Really looking at some other perspective and trying to understand it can be scary, because what if that changes me? But you know what? It's that fear that when you face it, that it causes you to be humble, and at the same time, that's something that takes a lot of courage. That courage can actually become something that you can actually take pride in, as opposed to be stuck being prideful in ignorance. Now, this is all great, but there has been people throughout history who have actually opposed this idea of seeking truth. There have been those like Nietzsche, anyway, who opposed the idea of seeking truth. He actually asked, why seek truth? Why not seek the lie? Well, I think the answer to that is pretty simple. Nietzsche, look, avoiding truth is really like putting yourself in a prison. It's living in delusion. It's living in unreality. Think about those minds who are damaged or ill. they're stuck in a delusion. They're imprisoned in this unreality, in this delusion that they can't escape. Why would you choose to live in delusion? It's when we're living in delusion that we actually can't do anything to really help our lives. It's only when we understand the truth that we can make a change and make our lives even better. So that's why we don't want to really live in unreality. It would be like a leper who has leprosy, who can't feel their nerve endings, so they can hurt themselves, they can damage internal organs and different things, but they have no idea that something's wrong with them until their body is just breaking down. And really living in that unreality is like taking a drug. It's like, being in an altered state of mind. It's not, not seeking the truth is sort of like, putting your head in the sand and saying, you know what, I'd rather just not have the truth. I'd rather just, live in unreality. I'd rather live in La La Land, believe in Santa Claus, whatever it may be. If you don't know the problem, if you don't know the truth of the situation, you can never change it for the better. Thank you guys so much for watching my very, very first video blog. If you liked it, hit like or leave a comment below. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. I'm Sean, and this has been the Education Revolution.